What's going on, guys? One love out to everybody. We got the Contender Series 2021 Week 6 predictions breakdown, guys. Before I get started, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to this channel, and sign up for my Patreon account. Okay, over there I'm gonna have the face-off predictions, some prop bets, and some combination parlays. Okay, we got 5 fights for this Contender Series. I'm gonna roll through these real fast but accurately. Alright, like the Contender Series, like I always say, it's risky because a lot of the guys, you may not find fights in them. And a lot of them are kind of, I want to say, not that experienced. So, like I said, you don't really want to parlay too much. You may just want to go singles, okay? First fight here, we got Patrik White versus Genaro Valdéz. Patrik White here, man, I couldn't find any fights on him. If any of you guys found fights on this guy, just leave it down below. And let me know if you found fight on this guy, man, because I couldn't find anything on him, man. Zero. It's like he doesn't even exist. With White here, man, both of these guys here, White and Valdez, they all have finishes. There's no fights by decision, right? There's no footages on this guy, like I mentioned. All of his fights are by KO TKO, though. So he has, what, 9 fights? He lost 1, and I believe he got knocked out for that 1, but he has 9 by KO TKO, okay? His record, though, like I said, look, you know, most of the guys look slightly kind of padded, you know what I mean? Maybe a 6-2 here, but majority of is 0-0-0, 1-3. You know, he had a 4-0 there, but like I said, it's slightly padded, right? His opponent here, Valdez. Valdez has 6 by KO TKO and 3 by submission, right? Valdez here will look for the takedowns and the submission them, right? Like I said, I can't see no footage on White, so I'm not sure if he has a strong wrestling base. It says here that he, let me see for a second. It says here that he wrestles though, like he's fighting out of Alaska, coming out of Avalanche Wrestling. I mean, like I said, he just looked like he want to knock you out and ground and pound. So I couldn't see anything on him. But with Valdez here, Valdez looks pretty well rounded. You know, he will stand up and strike with you, and also he'll go down for the wrestling and take you down, and even look for the submissions, right? Can get taken down, and he can scramble. He scramble real nice. If you take him down, he scramble back up to his foot. He's a good prospect, man. I like how this guy fights in there, right? Mix up his striking for the takedowns, heavy ground and pounds. He can get hurt in the foot though, but he recover real quick. Like I said, this is a tough one, guys, because like I said, if you find anything about White, just leave it down in the comment section there, because I can't find no fights on him. So this is like a shot in the dark here, man. I'm gonna go with Valdez. I mean, White gonna need a knockout, and with White here, what I notice, I'm can go off for the stats here, guys, is all his fights are finished in the first round. He has 1 fight here that's finished in the second. But majority is first. He has 1 third round. But majority of his fights, you can see, is all first round finish. It's coming off Alaska FC. And he has 1 by third round by leg kicks. And he has 2 by first round. But majority is all first round finishes. So, I mean, he could finish in the second and third, but majority of his wins are in the first. So I'm feeling like if this fight go to the first, he can't really get the knockout. It's like he may get a second or may get a third round knockout. It's possible. But with Valdez, his wrestling is strong. He has a good wrestling base there. So I'm going to push for Valdez here, but a shot in the dark, guys. I'm definitely not confident in this one because I can't see footage in White. So if you guys find any footage there, just let me know. I'm going to say Valdez here by submission, guys, in the first round. All right. Next fight here. We have we got Shonte Barnes versus Joseph Holmes. Shonte Barnes here. Yeah, he has heavy ground and pound here. He looks well rounded in kind of a way, but he can get taken down. He can get submitted. He looks to take your head off though. Very aggressive in the first round, and this is a guy too that has all first round finishes. You went to a majority draw here. So this guy is more of a first round finisher than White is. But White is a first round finisher because majority of his fights are done in the first round by knockout. But this guy here, all of his fights are done in the first. Basically, he's amateur. He got won the second round, but his pro, everything is first. And when he loses in the first, and he has a 1 draw here. So if this guy doesn't finish you in the first, most likely he's going to lose the fight. It's obvious, right? If you look for the takedowns, but like I said, he's a first round finisher guy, so he gasses out right in the middle of the first round. So he kind of like explodes and try to get the knockout quickly. He gonna need to finish you in the first, like I said, if you want to win this fight. If he doesn't finish you in the first, he will fade. His opponent here, Joseph Holmes. Joseph Holmes here is a little bit more experienced here. Had some fights in LFA. I've been have some Bellator fights here too, right? He has a 5-inch of height and a 3-inch of reach, which is massive, right? He can slightly be kind of flat-footed, but he does move in and out though. He can take the fight down to the ground. I noticed that his wrestling is not too bad, and his stand-up is okay. The only thing that with Barnes gonna try to swing off of your head. He's gonna come in there aggressive. But what I noticed from Joseph, he popped the jab at you and kind of pace himself, right? He will look for the submissions too, and he fights long range, right? He has some first round finishes too, but he also has some second round, and he also have some decision wins, right? With Barnes, he's all his finishes in first. So this is a guy here who can carry the fight. He has some split, he has some decisions here. So this guy here can take the fight and carry it and compose himself because of the experience. So, and also this guy here is I think he fights at 205 mostly. 185. He also is at 205, at 201. Yeah, obviously it's 205. So this guy fights at 205 also, and 185. This fight is at 180. His fights at 205. But we look at Barnes though. Barnes, from what I remember, he fought at 205 before. I think he has one fight at 205. Okay, so he has one fight at 205. So this fight's gonna be at 205. Okay. His opponent here, Holmes, is gonna be a short notice for Holmes though. And that's the thing, but I like what I see from Holmes more than I do from Barnes, okay? So I'm gonna go with Holmes here for the win. And I'm gonna say Holmes by first round submission, guys, okay? Next fight here. We have Joshua Weems versus Fernie Garcia. Joshua Weems here, he was on that bare knuckle Tinder game bred fighting championship. So yeah, I mean he looks Weems he can get swept, he can get taken down, he kind of gasses out in later rounds, but he will mix it up though. He'll go for takedowns and he will strike with you, but most of his striking looks like he's throwing more kicks, spinning back is more roundhouse, more ashigiri kicks. Not much hands I don't see from him, right? Let me see. He fights at 145 mostly and 135. This fight is going to be at, I believe, 135, okay? But he fight most at 145 though. His opponent here, Garcia. Garcia actually doesn't look bad. His striking is kind of decent, you know. He kind of looks to counter you. We'll also look for the takedown. His wrestling looks pretty good, man. He has good double single leg takedowns on you, and he will actually change direction, you know, kind of go at an angle just to get you down. He has fights in LFA, couple fights in LFA. Fought also in the Liddell versus Ortiz, if you guys remember that. But he's sneaky though, and he looks for the openings, and he times you, and he's patient with his strikes. You know, he peppers you up, he counters you, and then he will set up the takedowns. Use the striking to set up the takedowns. So this is a guy that's, I feel, is more experienced, and his wrestling is pretty legit. There's a strong wrestling base to it. I like what I see from Garcia more than Weems. I feel like Weems will get takedown and he will look for submissions, but he gets tired and he's not consistent, right? And his hands are not like Garcia hands. Garcia has better hands, man, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go with Garcia here, and I'm gonna say Garcia by decision, guys. Okay. A lot of these fights, it's hard for me to be confident with it, you know, because it's a contender series, like I said, and we see fights that the guy's supposed to win. Like, he's like, oh man, he's supposed to win like a 1,000 on the odds, and the guy going there and loses. So it's one of those things where there's not really a confident thing on this, man. Because a lot of these guys will change the way they fight just to get into the UFC. They may come in a little more aggressive. They may come in there doing different things than what you see from their footages. Okay, and sometimes you can't find no footages. All right. Next fight here, guys. We have Daniel Barez versus Carlos Hernandez. Barez here has a striking base. Well, hasn't. Hold on there. He hasn't fought since. Whoa, he hasn't fought in a while. He hasn't fought since 2019. He's gonna be the more experienced guy here, in my opinion. Heavy leg kicks, very technical guy. He's pretty well rounded, but he can get taken down though, and he can get hurt on the feet, and also he can get submitted too, right? But his fight here, I see him get hurt. He recovered and he came back and pulled the win off. This guy fighting Combati in Bama, Contenders Norwich, Spain fighter. He's not bad, man. He's pretty aggressive in the first rounds, but his striking is pretty legit. And in his recent fights that I see, he's defending the takedowns now, and he's also taking you down. So he has learned from his other fights that he lost, right? He got submitted by rear naked choke, right? Also fight Manel Cape, who's in the UFC also. His opponent though here, Hernandez, man. Carlos Hernandez is not bad, man. Let me see here. Carlos here will look for the takedowns, and he will look for the submission on you, man. This guy is grindy, man, and his footages are hard to find because there's other Carloses out there, Carlos Hernandez's, that are on YouTube too. So I was looking at the wrong person, so I had to dig through footages to find this guy, man. This guy has potential though, man, and his striking doesn't look bad either. He has pretty decent striking, man, and his wrestling is pretty legit too, man. So the only difference is that his opponent here, Barez packed more power. But be careful with this fight though, man. I mean, his wins are, his record is not that great, 0-0. I mean, obviously, Daniel has a better record here, man. I mean, if you look at his record, he has, 6-3, 10-2, 11-8, 4-0. You know what I'm saying? He has more of experience than him. But I wouldn't sleep on Carlos Hernandez. He could pull off a win here, man. And from my thinking, I would feel like Barez may be the higher odds here. He may be the favorite. So Hernandez may be the underdogs. But I'll be careful with this one, man. I'm not confident in this one. But I'm going to go with Daniel Barez for the win here. But Carlos can get a win here, man. Believe me. Carlos doesn't look bad. He could be an upset. So be very careful. We're going to take a look at the odds after this, though. But be very careful with this one, though. But I say Barez by decision. But do not sleep on Hernandez. I'm warning you on that one. Hernandez looks put together pretty good, man. He mixed it up pretty good, and his striking doesn't look bad, and his wrestling is legit. Alright? Main fight in the card, we got Simon, I don't know. Smotritsky versus Mike Malott. Sorry for messing up your name there. It's a difficult name to pronounce for me. Simon here, or Simon. This guy, man, both of these guys here, Simon and Mike, kind of similar in a kind of way. But with Simon here, Simon striking is pretty legit, man. His skill set is nice. His wrestling is nice too, man. He's scrambling you. He will switch direction. His striking, he fights on the outside, set up the techniques from the outside. His counters are good. His kicks are good. Looks like he has more of a karate base on him. A karate, but maybe a Muay Thai kind of base on him. Pressure forward. We look for the takedown. I mean, this guy is pretty skilled, man. I mean, for a young guy too, I mean, age is a number, but the kid looks pretty legit, man. I mean, for a guy at 21 to move like that and he's wrestling and he's scrambling. I mean, and he's just 21 years old. I mean, man, that's pretty good, His opponent here, though, Mike. Mike seems to have more of a Muay Thai kind of base here, BJJ black belt. Striking is not bad, and he's quick too, man. He's quick at the movements. Will look to take you down and submit you. And Mike doesn't go to decisions, man. I mean, I believe all his fights are won by either, I believe it's half and half. Some by submission and some by knockout, man. So this guy doesn't go to decision. I believe Simone has 3 by decision. I could be wrong about that. So Mike here, man, Mike got a half and a half on that. So Mike fights don't go to no decision. See, 3 submissions, 3 by KO. And like I said, Simon here has 3 by decision. I believe 3 by KO and 1 by submission. Also, Mike is at Team Alpha Male. I mean, that's what it says here. So, but yeah, man, I'm gonna go with Simon here for the win, and I'm gonna say Simon by Simon by decision, guys. But don't sleep on Mike because Mike could pull a win off too. All right, be careful with this one. All right, Valdez is 560. Holy crap! Huh. Man, like I said, I don't see no footage in white. So I mean, supposedly he has power in punches because he has, you know, all by knockout and no decisions. You know, it could be ground and pounds too. I believe some could be leg kicks too. But you know, this fight is like a shot in the dark, man. So I'd be careful with it, guys. Just be honest with you, all right? Holmes and Barnes. Ooh, Holmes is friggin' high too, man. Holmes is a short notice. I like what I see from Holmes. I believe Holmes is more experienced, but you know, I wouldn't sleep on Barnes. He's a first-round finisher, and if he can connect with a punch, you never know when Holmes can get knocked out. So I disagree with the odds. The odds in these fights shouldn't be this high, man. I mean, that's ridiculous, dude. A lot of these fights should be close to even, if not even, man. So I disagree with the odds in here because Barnes can win. I actually had Barnes winning, and I switched it around because I did some more footage watching. I did some more video watching, you know. So that's why the fights are good. You know, it's good to watch the fights, the footage of the fights. If you can find footage of fights, it's good to watch that, man, because it tells you a lot, you know. So if you're just going by stats, this is difficult. When you watch the fights, you can see how the guy moves. You can see his technique. You can see if he can get taken down. You can see what stance he's fighting. You can see how good he strikes. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot. You can see his mental, if he gives up, you know, if he's straightforward or he's going to back up a lot, or, you know. So, yeah, I disagree with odds on this one too, man. Garcia and Weems. Garcia is too high too, man, because Weems could win. You know, Weems is not a bad fighter, but Garcia is pretty good. And I have Garcia winning, but the odds is too high, man. I mean, you know, all these fights here, man, should be. I mean, the Valdez, I have Valdez as a favorite too, but I wouldn't have him at 560. Maybe like 160, 170. And the Holmes fight is more close. I have this more like 150, like close to even. And the Garcia and the Weems could be close to even too, man. The odds are too high on this, man. Carlos Hernandez and Barez, they have this fight as even, close to even, which I don't disagree. Like I said, Hernandez could win, man, because he's not a bad fighter. He's pretty well-rounded guy, man. But Barez is more experienced, so he's like, you can see he's a favorite in some sites, and you know, it's close to even. And some sites is even. So I don't disagree with the odds in here. They got this one right, man, because I have Daniel Barez winning, so he's favorite, but Hernandez can win the fight, man. Mike Malott and Salmon. Wow, they have Mike as favorite. Wow, interesting. I have Salmon winning the fight, but he's underdog, which, hey, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, Mike could win. So I'll be careful with that one too, man. You know, as I said, Mike could win, so he's a favorite. He could win. You know, I mean, I could be wrong, and Simone lose the fight. So the fights you gotta be careful with, man, is the fights that are really close to me is Mike and Simone. That's a very close fight. That can go either way. This fight here should be actually even. So I disagree with the odds on it. It should be an even fight, right? So be careful of Mike and Simone. Be careful of Carlos and Daniel. It's close. man, be careful with every single fight here, man. 'Cause the first 3 fights here is ridiculous, the odds. But the fights that I can see the underdog pulling off a win is Salmon and Carlos Hernandez. I can see those 2 guys pulling off the win. The rest of the fights here, I feel Garcia should win, I feel Holmes should win, and I feel Valdez should win. And not based off of the odds, it's based off my footages that I saw from the fights. I feel Garcia, Holmes, and Valdez, if I want to say are confident, which, like I said, the Contender series is hard to say what's confident or not, because a lot of the guys could come in here and fight differently, and a lot of these guys are not that experienced, right? I would say Valdez, Holmes, and Garcia is more of a confident, if I was going to put a confident in there. Hernandez and Mike, and those 2 last fights here, the co-main and the main fight, those are risky. Those can go either way, in my opinion. And the odds do say that, but the odds on the early fights here, yeah, I feel those guys are going to win, but the odds are too freaking high. They could come in losing, like especially against Patrik White. There's no footage of him. Barnes, Holmes is a short notice, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, guys, so that's about it right there, man. It's a tough card, and I'll be very careful with it, but that's my prediction breakdown. That's my odds breakdown there. You guys check out my Patreon account. I will leave the face-off predictions in there and some prop bets in there also. You guys keep on kicking, and one love out to everybody. Oh.